So I finally figured out what size plug this was for the side of the block. I really, for the life of me, thought it was an MPT. The threads didn't quite match up. I should have known it was metric, but it's an M16 by 1.5. They're kind of hard to find, but I found these little ones here, and basically what I'm going to do is put this O-ring on it, and then put thread sealant around it and run it in the block here. This will be where I pulled the heat exchanger. So basically when your coolant comes back, it goes around the motor, goes into the heat exchanger, or was heat exchanger, and then goes back into the block. I'm just basically blocking that off. I don't know how good you can see in there, but this is the plug right here. It'll put inside the block. Like I said, it's way in there and not easy to check the threads, but I finally got it. And that plug, it is correct, and it's M16 by 1.5, and hopefully we can get coolant back in it today. And so here in a second, I'm going to go over the transfer case and exactly what I've done to it so far. I did have a little screw up, which is kind of my fault, but anyways, here's the deep trans pan that I finally got back. I ended up going with a PP&E one this time, basically on a recommendation. I mean, the other one's a Mag High-Tech, but the drain, as most people know, is a Allen head, and this one's got the nice big drain. I don't know, really just recommendation and cost. So I went with this one. Had this one powder coated nice and pretty. You know, it's got the block extension, all the good bolts, all that good stuff. But hopefully the plan is today, and let's get this installed. Get the dipstick tube back in the trans, get everything almost ready to go on the trans. That way all I have to do when I finish the transfer case is just stab it on the back and fill it up with fluid. So I got the stock pan off that came with this trans. You can see I got the spacer in there for the filter. Oh, left me a nice little message. I'm surprised it says that and they didn't leave me something else. It's all good. Full manual, second gear lockup. Same stuff I've went over before, but just wanted to point out that you do got to put the spacer in there. When you put a double deep pan or a deep pan, they will send that. Just be careful with torquing the bolts. These are just little Torx heads. There's the inner workings of the valve body. This one's, like I said, different because it's a manual valve body. But fixing to get the pan installed now. I'm gonna try to get back here so you can kind of see what I'm dealing with. I got the pan just held up there with 2 bolts, but I'm glad I stopped there because I realized with the full manual valve body, you need this bracket here to go on the side to hold the shifter linkage in place. Because I'm wanting to get the linkage, like I said, all put on this weekend so all I gotta do is stab the T-case on. But as you see, there's a problem. It won't go in with the fins. So I guess I get to mess this nice pretty powder coat job up with a cutoff wheel, because all 3 of these I need to basically cut a slot so this will slide in there. So what fun that'll be. At least I caught it now before I got fluid in it. But so after grinding on the pan, I really hate grinding on something that's brand new and powder coated, but I just made a mistake and really just forgot about that bracket. So, but I think it turned out nice. I mean, you won't be able to see it. I'll probably pull it back off later. You know, if I change the trans fluid or wait till I pull the motor or whatever. But I mean, you can't see it now. It's not that big of a deal. But basically, I just made a little grinder cut in there and angled it, and I had to shave this bracket a little. But see if I can get in there where you can kind of see. I think it turned out nice, so I mean, like I said, you won't be able to see it. I did nick the powder up a little on the the bottom surface of the pan, but like I said, this will be against it. You won't be able to see it. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. So I've got everything hooked up. The shifter cable is fully in place. Kind of what I did. I just got to put the bottom plastic piece down here. Shifter cable comes down, and I'm just going to show a little quick shot of it. So I ran through there, and it's right here. I drilled me a hole through the firewall, or right on the transmission tunnel. Put a rubber grommet in there to seal it, and that's pretty much it. When you put the carpet up, Like you said, I just gotta hook these wires up with the piece there and you won't even be able to tell. So I got the dipstick tube back in. I got this Suncoast locking dipstick. Everything went pretty good there. But getting it all buttoned up, everything's pretty much in on the trans, like I said. There's my temperature sensor and the dipstick's right in front of it. So I wanted to make sure I got all the dipstick, the trans mounting or the shifting, all that in place before I started messing with this blanket here. So this is basically just an SFI rated. It's from Suncoast, as you can see. It's got the cool Suncoast logo on it. SFI spec 4.1. So fixing to try to figure out how this goes on, because I honestly don't know. I mean, I have an idea of how it goes, but not 100% sure. And then there's the precision shifter linkage all mounted up and adjusted. Kind of see how it ties in there, goes across. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that AN line. I'm almost positive the fitting I ordered a bunch of them for all the trans lines, but I'm pretty sure that's not gonna work there. I'm gonna have to do a different angle. But nonetheless, I'll figure it out later. And I got that kind of running up, and it just goes right through the firewall with the rubber grommet to keep everything sealed. But just playing with it there inside the cab, it shifts pretty nice. I think I've got it 99% adjusted. I really just need to get the truck running and make sure, but everything felt great. It had some slack, nothing was binding, so everything looks good. Honestly, I'm not sure if this blanket is installed right. Pretty sure it is. I mean, it's only logical to me. They give you tabs to go on the bell housing, and it wraps around that way if anything were to basically come free. Couldn't just come through the floorboard. Only thing's weird with this manual valve body, I kind of had to go around the shift linkage here, and then this one with this deep pan. It's kind of, I don't really like it, but I guess I'm just gonna have to deal with it. But I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, it's not noticeable, so I mean, I'm not too terribly worried. Like I said, you can see get a little better view where you can see the dipstick there and my transmission temperature sensor. Still got to do with the plug wires, but I'm gonna wait till I get the transfer case back. But that's all installed. This thing is really just ready to put the transfer case on the back side now. So I decided to go ahead and pull the factory transmission cooler out of the way, and so I'm behind the intercooler in front of the radiator. I've got mine out. I knew I wasn't going to reuse mine, so I basically just bent the hell out of the lines just to get it out the way, because as you know, they're tucked up in here, and I'll grab my flashlight. They're tucked back in there on the radiator. They got little clips, and then when you're running 3.5-inch piping, makes things get a little tight. But that's out of the way. That's done. Putting the front end back together, and hopefully once I get that back together, I can get the turbo piping put back on. Got a little more room now since I don't have the battery, so should go a lot quicker and easier. Making good progress today. Coolant's all back done. Everything's back in. I'm actually going in with coolant. All the electrical fuse panels back fully hooked up. Batteries fully hooked back up. I just went ahead and hooked my amps and stuff back up. I'll take care of that stuff later. I'm actually gonna be pulling a lot of that out of the truck, but for now it's just going right back in. Got the factory transmission cooler out. Can't see really in there too much, but it's gone. Got the turbo and everything over here put back together. I still got to hook my EGT probes up. The one for the CTS2 is hooked up. This one, I'm waiting on my new AN lines to come in. I might wrap these in something just to make it look cleaner, but everything's hooked back up over here. See if I can do a shot like this, and everything's tidied back up and cleaned up, ready to go. Getting really close. I'm about to hopefully make my table and bench and get started on the transfer case this afternoon. So I just got finished pulling the whole transfer case apart. I really didn't want to set it up and take the time to video. I was really just in a hurry, so I could hurry up and get this input shaft pulled again. But there's pretty much the inner workings of the transfer case, the pump. I guess that'd be the housing off the back of it. There's one of the case halves. There's the main input shaft. The sliding collar. There's the chain and sprockets, and then here's the inside. So getting ready to go get the input shaft that I actually bought. I thought it was machined already and cut down. My buddy Mark actually kind of walked me through this once already. We already tore this thing down and put it in there, and that's when we realized, yep, it was longer. But I went ahead and put it in just in case. That way I could at least get it home. And then now I'm tearing it down this weekend, and I'll get everything machined. But should have everything back sometime this week. Like my little makeshift table here.